Bronx Journal. I'm your guest host, Alex Lacey. The Ruth Rea Howell Family Garden occupies 2 acres of the New York Botanical Garden in the Bronx. The Family Garden offers a variety of programs to introduce children and their families to the lessons of gardening. Since 1956, these programs have cultivated tens of thousands of young gardeners from throughout the metropolitan region and instilled the lessons and patience of tending one's own garden. Here with me to talk about the Family Garden is the manager, Toby Adams. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So the Family Garden is part of the Botanical Gardens?
Yes, the Family Garden is a 2-acre site located within the campus of the Botanical Garden, which is a total of 250 acres.
Wow.
It's in north central Bronx, and the Bronx River runs right through the campus as well.
Well, what's some of the background on the Family Garden?
The Family Garden hosts a variety of programs, one of which was started in another location in the Botanic Garden in 1956, the Children's Gardening Program. In the 1980s, they decided to do some infrastructure work, and they found a new home for the Children's Gardening Program, and so they created the Family Garden.
Well, what is the Children's Gardening Program?
The Children's Gardening Program provides an opportunity for children to tend their very own garden. So families enroll their children. It's currently offered in 2 parts. We have garden sprouts for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and they participate with their parents. And we have garden crafters, which is a drop-off program for 6 to 12 years old.
And who's the program open to? Just anyone, or?
Yeah, it's open to anybody. There's a spring, a summer, and a fall season for both sprouts and for the crafters. And so families are welcome to sign their children up for one season, like spring, or they can do spring and fall, or all 3, spring, summer, and fall. So.
Well, you say that they have their own like little gardens that they own and tend to. So what do you guys plant in those gardens?
Yeah, so we have capacity for 96 of the garden crafters, and so we arrange them into groups of 12, and we assign an instructor to the group and several volunteers. And we match the kids up with a partner. So the pair together takes care of a plot that's about 4 feet wide by 16 feet long.
Wow.
And you know, depending on the season, the kids will plant vegetables, flowers, and herbs. And so this spring season, we planted radishes and 4 different varieties of lettuce,
oh, wow.
Loose leaf and romaine lettuce. We planted kohlrabi, purple and green kohlrabi, broccoli, onions, scallions, potatoes, and carrots. Next week we're going to plant the tomatoes and the pepper plants, and parsley and basil as well.
Wow.
So.
Does it take a lot of work for the children to do it? Do they have to come like more than once a week to do it? Or?
Exactly. The spring season we offer once a week on Saturdays, and it takes place over 2.5 hours. In that 2.5 hours, they spend about half the time, about an hour, taking care of their plot with their partner. So we have a gardening agenda each Saturday morning, and so the instructors share that plan with the kids, and the kids scatter to their plots, and then with the help of the volunteers, the projects get accomplished. So they may be sifting compost and adding it to their plot. They may be weeding out the plants that we don't want growing in our plots. Sometimes we're building trellises to support the plants that need help holding themselves up. And sometimes we're busy harvesting. So. Wow.
Yeah, it sounds like a good amount of work. Well, are there any fruits or vegetables that the children love the most out of all of those?
You know, we grow, there's altogether throughout the year, there's probably 24 different vegetables.
Oh, wow.
I think it's safe to say that the majority of the kids like the cherry tomatoes. We grow a variety of cherry tomato called the Sun Gold. Then I've witnessed kids eating them, you know, faster than M&Ms. So.
Really, wow. Well, on top of those varieties, are there any varieties of fruits or vegetables that the children haven't tried? Like, I haven't exactly heard of kohlrabi.
Yeah, part of the program that is important to us is to expose kids to being in a garden and taking care of the plants, but also to familiarize them with all the different plants that are out there that you might find at your local farmer's market or at the grocery store, and to see where it comes from, like what it looks like when it's growing, and to see it before it's been processed into a can or a bottle or something like that. So we definitely each season think about some new varieties to grow, and think if there's space or time. You know, plants have their different schedules to mature, and we have our program schedule, so we want to make sure that all kind of matches up. And so there are some plants like kohlrabi that some people haven't heard of, or maybe they didn't recognize it from what it looks like when it's in the grocery store. So that's definitely one of the more unusual varieties. Many kids 6 years old, you know, haven't developed their palate to know that there's a dozen varieties of kale out there. So we have some kale that isn't probably the most popular item to choose at, you know, a restaurant or, you know, request for dinner, but by the end of the program, they're bringing the kale home and showing their family how to cook it, and you know, spotting it in the grocery store and encouraging their parents to buy it and things like that. So.
Well, on top of just planting, are there anything else that the kids in the Children's Family Garden do on the children's program?
Definitely. They spend half the time gardening, so the other half of the time we've created a syllabus of lesson themes. So between the spring, the summer, and the fall season, there's 31 sessions. And so each session we have a theme of the day. An example would be we have a bird lesson. We had a organic gardening lesson.
Wow, yeah. We've
done soils and worms. We've had lessons on nutrition. We've had a field games day, a harvest field games day, which is a little bit more fun. We let loose towards the end of the spring season and have you know, relay races with watering cans and potato sack races, things like that.
Wow.
So.
Well, I can understand that actually just planting your own garden, if you're a kid in the Bronx or anywhere actually, would be just enough for a program to be interesting and fun. But you guys do the lessons to give them something more, right?
Yeah, it's a good opportunity while we have the kids there and they're excited to be in the garden. They're very active. The Botanic Garden is a beautiful resource, so to share the Bronx River that's running, you know, right alongside the family garden, or our forest, the only native forest left in all of New York City, with the kids, and you know, to share those in interesting, hands-on, interactive ways is nice. And also the kids coming back each session, you know, 12 times in the spring season. We've got lots of time with the same kids, so we can build their skills. We can, you know, begin in the spring and introduce some of the rules and some of the, you know, different techniques, but really practice those and reinforce those over the course of the whole season. And not just that, you know, the kids come back, many of them, year after year. And really? So, you know, I've been out there for almost 10 years now, and I've seen some kids, you know, as 5-year-olds that are now volunteering.
Oh, wow.
I know some that are now, you know, have hired as instructors too. So they really develop like a lifelong interest in gardening and nature and you know, science and all the different, you know, healthy eating and cooking and things like that we do. So.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic for children that are living in the city. Really, that's so just so out of the ordinary for a place like this. Exactly.
You know, most blocks in all of New York City have very little vegetation, mostly trees, you know, street trees and things like that. So it's very rare to see a tomato growing on a tomato plant, and it's more likely to come across a tomato that's been, you know, harvested and smashed and crushed and put into a bottle, and it's very unrecognizable. But you know, you use it almost every day as you know, a condiment like ketchup or something like that, or sauce for your pizza. So.
Well, I'd imagine they must taste better too when you grow them like that.
Most definitely. Fresh picked produce, nibbling it like the rabbits is one of the best treats, and I definitely witnessed many kids sneaking some plants in before they take the harvest bags home to their families.
Well, since I heard that you were saying that you have the bird lessons and things like that, but are there lessons that you do for different times of the year?
Yeah, we try to arrange the syllabus of themes so that they're seasonally appropriate. We'll have this summer, we're going to have a lesson about cucumbers. And so that's when our cucumber crop will be maturing, and so we'll have cucumbers to use, you know, in recipes. We'll make, you know, pickles and things like that.
Really, wow.
And so we'll use the plants right from the garden, harvest them, and we have a whole set of cutting boards and mixing bowls and salad spinners and things like that, food processors and woks and skillets and things.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just supplementing, like they actually get to grow the cucumbers and then they can make it into pickles. I bet those taste unbelievable.
They do, in my opinion. The kids, have come up with some of their own recipes as well that are a little bit more, challenging to the palate. But it's a lot of fun, and getting them, just familiar again, not just with being in a garden and growing plants, but using those kitchen tools, being familiar with, how to cook things, how to manipulate them into a meal. But it just makes them a little more appreciative of where their food comes from, what it takes to get it onto a plate.
Right.
So.
Well, do you teach lessons differently depending on the age group of the children?
Yeah, we have, there's 96 kids, and so we'll arrange them into groups of 12. So there's 8 groups, and so all the 6-year-olds are together with a group. And so the instructor that works with the 6-year-olds, tailors their lesson plan to be age appropriate, and work on skills that are the 6-year-olds are, learning. And we always try to make sure that the activities are fun. This is extracurricular. This is outside of their classroom. We have like an outdoor classroom in effect. So taking advantage of that living resource that's all around us.
Right.
And it can be a good thing and a bad thing. We garden rain or shine. So
oh, really? Wow.
When there's the storm clouds pop up, we're still out there and taking our moments in between the raindrops to get the gardening done. But and, that's part of the fun. We've had days with kids in hat and gloves, harvesting radishes in the fall, and we've seen some snowflakes during some of the early season sessions as well. So,
did the kids have a favorite lesson?
A couple of years ago, we introduced a lesson called Farmers Market Day, and so what we do there, the main goal of the session is to learn about who a farmer is and what farmers do to not only grow their plants like we do at the garden, but to bring them to a market and make a living. And so, preparing a market booth and advertising and kind of making their booth stand out from another farmer at the same market. And so we create a farmer's market amongst our groups, and so the kids, set up a table and make signs, and they're hawking their produce to the other groups, and so we pass out beans as a currency. That has hands down been the favorite lesson. We have kids, encouraging their family to plan vacations around that session, so that they're there for that. And
do the kids every year get a good harvest? Like if they put in all that work?
Yes, it does require work, and they share it with a partner, so they're learning how to share responsibility, but also the rewards for their hard work. Divvying up the different chores. But most definitely, week after week, depending on the season, they're going home with several pounds of, fresh produce. Like I listed before, the basils, the lettuce, and the kohlrabis, radishes. We've had some tomatoes that are over a pound.
Wow,
just
really?
just one tomato. So
that's amazing. And is the garden open year-round then?
No, it's a 3-season garden. The family garden, the New York Botanical Garden, is open year-round and has exhibits throughout the campus. We have our conservatory, which is 75 degrees in the middle of January. But the family garden is open spring, summer, and fall. So we're open April through October, we do plant some things that are in the ground for through the winter.
Okay.
But they're dormant and underground, and they'll start growing again in the spring once the water thaws, basically.
Well, how much does it cost, this program? And
the garden crafters for 6 to 12-year-olds is currently $180 for the spring and the summer session, which are both 12-session programs.
Oh, wow.
The fall session is 7 program days, and that's $105.
Okay.
And we also have discounts for members.
Okay, great. Well, then how can they get in contact you if they want to find out more information or sign their kids up?
Our 2011 brochure is on our website, and you can find the brochure at the nybg.org. And you can also just call our registration office. We have our staff there that can answer all sorts of questions you may have, and that's phone number is 718-817-8181.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Toby. It sounds like a fantastic program. Well, I'm